Thanks.
Cool.
Can I go ahead, or do we want to wait another few seconds? No? Okay.
I think the floor is yours.
Great, thank you. Hi, so I'm Nicole du Plessis, and I'm with the Sayon Igagasiini node for offshore marine systems based in Cape Town, South Africa. And I will just be providing an update on the reform process of the IORAG, which is a working group within IORA, and then also activities of the national chapter. So I'll just briefly be providing an overview of IORA, an update on the IORAG reform process, feedback on the activities of our national chapter, and then these kind of upcoming activities within IORA, which I think would be quite relevant and interesting to everyone. So IORA is an intergovernmental organization. It follows a consensus-based, evolutionary and non-intrusive approach to engagement. There are 6 priority areas, which you can see there on the left-hand side, and then the 2 cross-cutting priority areas of blue economy and women's economic empowerment. Currently, IORA has 23 member states, which is shown in the map there, and I don't know how good everyone's geography is, but all the countries of the Western Indian Ocean are IORA member states. And then there are also a number of dialogue partners, of which Germany is one. So quickly looking at the structure of IORA, the Secretariat is based in Mauritius, and this supports the specialized agencies, the functional bodies, the Committee of Senior Officials, from the Ministries of Foreign Affairs, and that's really where most of the discussion happens within IORA. And then the Council of Ministers, which is the highest decision-making body. It says my internet's a bit unstable, so maybe I should just switch off my video there. And then just having a look at the different working groups and core and specialized agencies, which is really where the academic input comes in. So this is just to show that currently there are core groups and working groups on all of the, really all of the IORA priority areas at the moment. And those core groups and working groups are made up of government officials from relevant departments for who those areas are within their mandate. And there's also the academic group and the business forum, which are also considered working groups of IORA, and that's to ensure the involvement of business and the research community. And then there are the supporting institutions, which is the Fishery Support Unit and the Regional Center for Science and Technology. And then also in, I think it was 2018 or 2019, IORA established a Blue Carbon Hub, which is hosted by Australia. And also just to say that IORA itself is being strengthened by the member states with assistance from dialogue partners to ensure that the Secretariat is capacitated to support these groups. And these groups also have their own work plans to develop tangible development impacts within the priority areas and the cross-cutting areas within all member states. So these groups have also had to develop terms of reference which clarifies the roles and responsibilities. And just looking back at the IORA action plan for 2017 to 2021 on the priority area for academic science and technology cooperation, the highlighted activities on this slide indicates those objectives where the most progress has been, although it is in some respects really an ongoing process, and there's now a new action plan being drafted for 2022 to 2026. So South Africa was chair of IORA between 2017 and 2019. And the focus for us was really on strengthening the Indian Ocean Rim academic group. And so with the other member states, we came up with a list of reform areas that could either be addressed by the academic group or through the establishment of a reform subcommittee, as well as areas that the academics thought needed to be looked at more broadly within IORA. So looking at the establishment of national academic group and focal points, member states have been asked to provide a contact person or contact institution as an academic focal point. Not all member states have established a national academic group, and it's of course up to them if they do want to establish this. But due to, in some cases, the cost implications, this hasn't been implemented. However, South Africa has provided our model and as an example for how this could be done. On the Centers of Excellence, there's document available on what would be considered a Center of Excellence for IORA and how this should be established. University mobility hasn't really been addressed, as it's also depending on funding from member states and a funding structure for that. The special fund has been revised on the peer review mechanism and criteria for participation in the IORAG. There's information available on that. The role of the chair in Indian Ocean Studies has been discontinued, and this is now being developed into a policy and research coordinator post. And the criteria for this is still being discussed, but likely this will be an established academic from one of the IORA member states, which can be based at the IORA Secretariat for a period of 2 years and then supported by one or two postdocs. And then also IORA has also re-looked at the role of dialogue partners within the association. And we also published a paper on how we saw the reform benefiting IORA, and I'm happy to share that with anyone. And I mean, also looking at some of the sessions today, I really think that, you know, this issue of networking and mobility is clearly, there is a strong need for us to kind of discuss that more and how this can, you know, be implemented better within the region. And so just looking at our national chapter, as I previously indicated, we developed the structure which consisted of a steering committee, which was made up of our National Research Foundation, as well as the different government departments responsible for research and academia, as well as the Department of International Relations. And then there's a core group, which consists of 1 or 2 academic experts in the IORA priority areas. And then we asked those experts to create their own networks within South Africa that could, you know, form a community of resource persons that could advise on and participate in the IORA activities. And then our National Secretariat supporting all of that. And as a specific outcome for South Africa, we really wanted to strengthen participation of other African member states within IORA. And so we undertook a roadshow to some of the member states, namely Mauritius, Seychelles, and Tanzania. And we also hosted special sessions at the WIOGEN Symposium in 2017 and 2019. And taking advantage of the fact that it was hosted by the University of Mauritius in 2019, we invited the then Secretary General of IORA to participate in our special session. And then promoting IORA sub-regionally is still a priority, and, you know, hence me participating in this WIOGEN event today. So after the South African chair period ended, we really went through a period of reflection on, you know, where next for this academic group. And so we've still been supporting and facilitating academic participation within IORA. And the slide just shows some of the events. There are many more, but I really just wanted to highlight here that having our structure in place has allowed us to capitalize on having academic participation within IORA meetings. And even at the recently held 26th IORAG meeting, South Africa had a number of participants, and we also were the only speakers along with India in the discussion sessions. And so this really allows us to have greater exposure of our academics within the IORA and within the region. There is still a need to better incorporate the activities between the IORA academic group and the other working groups. But I do think that this is happening as IORA is looking at having more measurable impact within the region, and as all the structures within IORA start implementing their work plans. So I just wanted to highlight that there are a number of reports, project reports and other resources that have come out in the past few years, and the recommendations from these have been taken up within IORA. And most recently, there have been the technical reports that were funded by France. And looking at the outcomes or recommendations from all these resources, if anyone would like to approach IORA for project funding, having this background information available, where you can say that, you know, there have been these recommendations or identified needs for the region, it's more likely to be funded through the IORA Special Fund. And so, yeah, I just wanted to show this upcoming funding call on COVID-19 and climate change through the current MOU between IORA and GIZ Germany. India, as the current chair of the IORAG, is currently drafting the application criteria. And so this is really just to show everyone that this is, and make everyone aware that this will be coming out soon. And possible topics there include what were the climate change and environmental related impacts resulting from the COVID measures taken by the governments of the IORA member states, or impacts on tourism, ecosystem health, or air quality. It's quite broad, I think. And then also to promote the upcoming 8th Indian Ocean Dialogue, which is happening on the 15th of December, with discussions around e-health, e-education, digital technologies, and digital shipping, smart ports, and trade. And if you would like to participate, for non-South Africans, you'd have to contact your focal points. I'll only be able to facilitate South African academic engagement within that. You can also contact the IORA Secretariat to find out who your focal point is. And so I think that's really building on what happened in the IORAG meeting and what is happening within the other IORA working groups. And just yesterday, I was made aware that there's actually going to be a workshop on developing a plan of action on climate change within IORA. And that's supposed to happen, I think, within the next 2 weeks. I've asked for clarification on participation limits, as it was indicated that academia and civil society will be able to attend and participate. And so I'd just really like to thank the WIOGEN team for providing me with a platform to provide feedback, and to thank everyone for listening. I really hope that you find this information useful. And if anyone would want to be added to our South African mailing list, just to be aware of what is happening within IORA, I might not be able to facilitate you to participate in every event, which you'd have to, you know, contact your own national focal point for. But there are other open workshops which anyone is allowed to attend. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Just for everyone, particularly the South Africans, Nicole is wonderful at sharing information about what's happening in the region. And so I highly recommend that you join her network, because it's a great source of what's going on. Does anybody have any questions? You can raise your hands if you have any questions. Otherwise, in the meantime, it's great to have you here as IORA. I think it's really important for all of the different networks that are happening in the region to be communicating effectively and making sure that there isn't duplication of efforts and people are working together. And so it's wonderful to have you present and have you involved. And obviously, you're involved with IORA ISA too. So thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions or would like to get in touch with Nicole going forward, then feel free to contact her or put your questions in the chat.